Okay. I just asked a poll question. If you could real quick just let us know if you have used Edulastic either this year or in the past. If you could just real quickly in that poll answer yes or no. And then if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A area. It's with the triangle, square, circle, and you can ask your questions there. This will kind of let us filter what questions you have so we can ask Melissa any questions and make sure all of those questions gets answered. And then if you have any comments or anything like that, feel free to use the chat.
Hey, Stephanie?
Yes.
Where's the poll?
I might have not hit launch. Now it's coming.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So if you could just let us know real quick, have you used Edulastic? And then in the comments area, let us know if you have, how you're using it. If you haven't, what feature you would kind of like to see with Edulastic. And Melissa, go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so we're going to do a basic overview of Edulastic and, maybe like Stephanie was saying, a refresher for those of you who haven't really used it that much. I want to make sure everyone is able to be in Edulastic to make sure that you have logged in and you see your classes here on the dashboard. Stephanie, I'm going to let you, since I'm not looking at that screen, so I'm not going to see anybody, so you can let me know if we need anything from anyone.
I will interrupt you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so when you land in Edulastic, you're always going to come to your dashboard first, and your dashboard is basically where your classes will show. You'll be able to see how many students are in your classroom. You'll also be able to see how many assignments and the last assignment that has been assigned. The last test that was assigned, you'll be able to see that as well right here from the dashboard. A couple things I want to make sure that you have. So down here in the bottom left, you'll probably see your initials. Go ahead and click on that and click My Profile. And then down at the bottom, we want to make sure that you have Power User turned on. Power User is going to give you other abilities like using rubrics, using the dynamic features that are, thinking of dynamic math features, but you want to make sure that you have Power User toggled on. And then we're going to look here in the Manage Class tab. So I'm going to try to pace a little bit so I'm not losing anyone, but please let me know if you need me to, slow down or go back over something. So this navigation bar here on the left, it's not going to change. You can actually see the text. All you have to do is just click that green E or this little arrow, then you'll be able to see the text of all the different tabs in Edulastic. So we're going to start here in the Manage Class tab. There's a few things I want to make sure that you are aware of when using Edulastic. So the first thing is that your district is syncing with Clever. What that means is all of your rosters should be here, all of your classes should be here. But you are going to be able to sync with Google Classroom, but there's a certain way that you have to do that. So when you click on one of your classes, you will be able to sync your Clever class with a Google Classroom. You want to be careful. Make sure that this class matches the same one in Google Classroom if that's what you want to do. You don't have to do that, but if you're planning on using Google Classroom, this is the way you want to do that. I know Stephanie, she has done a great job. I think you even have a video, Stephanie, that you shared with your team about making sure you follow the steps to do this. So if you feel like you're not real sure about how to do this, we're definitely here to help. A couple things that take place in the Manage Class tab. So you can see your students listed and you'll see this TTS enabled. First thing I want to tell you is that you cannot archive Clever classes. You cannot do that. That's Brian's job, and he'll take care of that in the summer when we start fresh for the new school year. So you are not able to archive Clever classes. You can rename the class, but again, you want to be very careful in doing this. You want to make sure that it's matching what you have in your Google Classroom, and you know that it's going to be the same class as the Clever class. But I also want to show you about text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is a student feature, not a class feature. So if you give text-to-speech to a student, that student will have text-to-speech in other classes as well. It's super easy to do. You can remove it or add it. I just suggest that if you are using text-to-speech, that you're talking to colleagues so everybody knows, hey, I'm giving a test on Thursday and I need text-to-speech enabled for the whole class, just to let you know it's going to be on. So I know that some grade or some subject areas have text-to-speech available all the time and some don't. So you want to make sure that everyone's aware, hey, I'm giving a test. I want to make sure text-to-speech is on. You can choose individual students or you can choose the whole class. In the Actions button, enable text-to-speech. It literally is that easy. The same as disabling it, you check this box, Actions, Disable. So it literally will take you 2 seconds to open that up and get to it. But just to let you know, that is where that can happen. There's some other things that you could do here in the Manage Class tab, but those are the main pieces that I want you to be aware of. Okay, a couple other things here. Playlist, you can see playlist down here and my playlist up here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on playlists because I don't really see a lot of new users using playlists because you have to do a little bit of a work to get that set up. So playlists is, think about a topic and you're going to have practice tests to go along with that topic. It is something that you have to create yourself. You can share it, and admin can create it and share it with you, but there are some steps that have to be taken to make sure that you do this correctly. But once you do have playlists and you use it, you will then see my playlist here. So you don't see that yet, but once you do use that feature, you will see it available. Playlist is an enterprise feature, and now that you all have enterprise, you do have that available. So that is something for you to remember. There's a couple other features like gradebook that you have available, and that's because of enterprise. I want to make sure that you all have access to this as well. I know that Stephanie has done a great job of sharing this with everyone, but I want to make sure that you have it. Stephanie, are you able to share this, or do you need me to share it?
I can share it.
Okay, perfect. On slide 5, this is a training resource. And I want to make sure that you guys have access to this because this is basically a cheat sheet that I update and I add things to. So there's quite a few pieces on here that I want to make sure that you have available at a later time. And when I talked about playlist, that's one thing that is that I do touch on here is playlist. So that's why I brought that up. Okay, I'm going to jump up here to gradebook. So gradebook is basically where you're going to see students in your classes and you're going to see all of the tests that you've assigned. This little tornado looking icon right here, you're going to see this icon throughout Edulastic. It's always going to be on the left-hand side, and that's where your filters are going to live. So for example, you're going to see all assessments, all classes. So you can filter right by choosing it right here. You also can see student groups. You do have the ability to create student groups. the reason I would create a student group is if I have a group of students that I know I'm going to need to give more practice to, when I'm assigning, it's going to be very easy for me to just choose a whole student group instead of going through and choosing individual students. But this is a great place for you to create a student group. Is right here from this grade book. And again, you'll be able to scroll and see all of the, of course, this is a demo account, so you can see a bunch of zeros, but I just wanted to make sure that you know what this looks like. All right. So our assignments tab and insights tab, we're going to spend the remainder of the time together after I go through those two features here on the test and item library or item bank, because I want to make sure you know where to access those things. But the assignments tab is where you're going to find all of the tests that you have assigned. You're not going to find drafts. You're not going to find ones that you're working on. These are all tests that have been assigned. Again, remember your little filter. So if you want to come here and, be very specific and looking at a class, or maybe you want to see just the ones that are in progress, or ones that have not been opened, or they're in grading, or they're marked done. So you can filter through with that right here. You can also look at individual classes. Test types mean that if you have common assessment, which is a C, a class assessment is an A, and we also have practice assessments, which you can see is has a little icon of a P. But again, just an easy way for you to filter things. So now you have your list of tests here that you've assigned, and you will be able to see data. So you can see here, when I click on this test, it's going to open up and it'll show you different classes. Live Classboard will only show you each class. So if you have a bunch of different classes here, you'll be able to search each individual class. But I want to make sure that you see the Live Classboard. So again, I was in assignments, here, Live Classboard. So that's where you're going to see where your students are. Now, of course, there's no data here because as you can see, these have been marked graded and absent, but you also can see more than one attempt here. So that means that they have been redirected. You do that right here from this Live Classboard. There's a few different things here. I want to make sure that you have the ability to see. You can have different views. You have the card view. You have the student view. What that means is that you're going to see all of the questions for each student. Or you have the question view, meaning that you can look at one question and then all of the students. So card view, that's the default, always goes back there. You can click here on one of the bars. And this is going to be especially important when you're grading essays and things like that. To me, this is a very easy way. You're just going to scroll through all of your students and be able to score them and give them student feedback. When you do have an essay or a manually graded, it will be in this color here, this blue. Everything else you'll see, they all mean a different level. And it's just as simple as just clicking through these three tabs. Redirecting means that you're giving the students another chance to take this assessment. You don't lose data, as you could see, regardless of how many times I give the student, I'm going to be able to see all of the attempts. The thing to remember about Edulastic is that the final attempt is what is, well, the last attempt is the one that's scored, kept up here. But you don't have to say, for example, you gave it 3 times and the first time was the student's best. You can go in and change the score so that their best one is there, because Edulastic is only going to hold the last one, not the best one. But redirecting is very easy. You can see here, there's only 3 practice students. So I can click redirect and I can choose if I want to just give it to the absent students. Or if you have your whole class here, it might be easier for you to maybe click on the box or actually just start typing their student's name in here. You want to just do specific students. You can decide to allow them to have all of the questions again or only let them see the ones that they skipped and got wrong. You can change your close date and you can decide on what you want them to see. Do you want them to see their response and your feedback? You want to see their score and your feedback, only your feedback, or their score? So they're going to know, basically. Think about that. If you give them this one, they're going to know their score. They're going to know what they got right or wrong and your feedback. So make sure you pay attention to that when you are redirecting. Express Grader is a very easy place for you to come in here and score also. You don't have to do that the way that I showed you from the live class board. You can do that right here. It's completely up to you whether you do that or not. Standards-based reports. This is going to be a very easy view for you to see the questions in the standard. So you're going to see all of the questions, one standard, or however many standards you're going to see the questions that are aligned. And then you'll be able to have some data here to look at the performance. And the settings tab, that has to do with your assigning. You have to decide when you want the open and close date, open policy, meaning do you want to close it manually in your class or do you want it to set to automatic? Here's class level settings and then the test level settings. So there's a lot of different features here. If you've never used this before, I just think you should go through, click, see exactly. You can see as you hover over, you'll be able to see some pop-ups there about what each feature may mean. That, and this is from our team and the questions that we get. When you see these little I's, that the lowercase I here, that usually means we're getting a lot of questions. So you want to make sure that you just read those. Scratchpad is always enabled. Always enabled. That means that every single test will have Scratchpad available unless you disable it. So that's something for you to think about. If you're letting students use Scratchpad to show their work, it's always going to be turned on unless you disable it. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you from the live class board. One thing I want to make sure that I let you know. So for example, say you get a new student, you just gave this test this week, but you get a new student today and you really want that student to take this test. You've already did a resync with Google Classroom. They're showing up, they're in through IC, coming in through Clever, so they're already in your class. I suggest you always come here. You open up the test, then you click more and add a student from here. So this is always the best way, because if you are going to go and find the test and then you want to assign it that way, you could do that, but this is going to guarantee you're going to have all the data in one place. So this is just a best practice that I want to, make sure that you're aware of, and that that you can come here and add students right here from inside the test. Okay, so questions, anything anyone would like to see about this page, this part? If not, we're going to move on. All right, insights or reports. These are, again, an enterprise feature. I'm not going to go through these. You can read the, example or the description, here, of what each report shows. But now you have this available because you have enterprise. Okay, so now the library. Two things here. We have test library and item bank. The test library are fully created assessments. They're already created, they're done, they're ready to go, and they're available to you. And the question bank, the item bank here, are individual questions. So individual questions that you have access to, that you can come in here and start choosing and adding to a test. One question will make up a test. You can see here, new item. So I'm going to show you that in a minute, but I want to make sure you know best practice when you're here searching for a test. Okay, you see new test here, right? You have the ability to create from scratch. What that means is you're going to start out, you're going to title, and then you're going to add items from the item bank. You also have the ability to add snap quiz, adding a PDF. Basically, think of your paper pencil test. It's a PDF. You bring it into Edulastic, and you are going to now let the students take it online because you're going to set up the answer key. So they're going to see your test as an image, and their answer, the answer key will be on the right, and they'll go through and they'll take your test online. And that is what Snap Quiz is. But in the test library, couple things I want to make sure you're aware of. The collections tab. I always encourage you to start with Edulastic Certified. The reason is because Edulastic Certified are where you're going to find all of those vetted quality assessments. So Edulastic Certified. I also want to show you how to find the Released Ohio assessments. Super easy. Edulastic Certified, you come here to this keyword search, type in the word Ohio, and now you're going to see all of the Released Ohio assessments. You then can go in and search by a grade level. I have a cut on my finger, so my pad's not working that great. Great, and then you can also do a subject area, but I always think you should start with Edulastic Certified. Think about this, as many filters as you want. You can use them, but the more filters you have, the smaller your bucket becomes. All right, so you see the release test here. Now, I'm going to show you how you can easily clone a test that you find in Edulastic, or you can just preview and assign. You don't have to do anything to it. You just grab it, you look at the details, you say, okay, I really like this. I can go in and assign it to my class. That's how easy it is. Super, super easy for you to come in here and find a test. But I want you to see how to clone. Louisiana has amazing state assessments. They're very long. They have a lot of questions, and I think they're very easy to use Ohio standards with. So cloning a test, big note here. Whenever you clone, when you're making a copy of, always choose the second option. The reason is, even if you feel like you're not going to change anything at all, don't close yourself in by choosing this top one. You do the second one, because in the long run, if you decide to change one thing, this option right here is going to save you a bunch of clicks. So choose the second option, continue to clone. You have the ability to change this name. You can change the tags, the grade level. I'm going to take Leap off of here. And then I can look at adding items. I don't want to add any items, but I want to review. Okay, so you can see all of these. This is an ELA that I grabbed. Eyeball means you view this question as a student. That's something you can see here. See this view as a student? That's the whole test. Individual question, whole test. When you click, it's going to allow you to look. This is key. You want to have the ability to edit, especially if you're grabbing a test from another state. You want to make sure you have the ability to edit. And this here, metadata, that is key. That is where you will remove that other state standards. You will come in here and find your standards. And then you can see they'll populate right here. Add your standards. I'm good to go. I click save. Now, I only changed that one because I wanted you to know. Do you see? Look what happens here. I'm now going to have that one question that I changed. Now, there's 7 different questions on here. So if I want to go in and use all of these questions, I'm going to have to change that. But ELA is a little harder when you're doing cloning because of that. Math is really a lot easier because you don't have all of these questions with one passage. You still have the ability to, change all of your settings, adding items. Now, I'm still in this test, right? I'm in draft, but now I'm in my item bank. Now I can choose to add different questions. It's going to hold my filters, or I can create a new item. This is going to be, and then guys, everything that I'm showing you, there are so many different ways to get to the same thing. I'm just trying to at least touch on everything so you know there's so much that you could do. But I'm not, of course, we don't have a whole lot of time to go into each individual thing. So all of these question types, and I know that you're using another platform, and I know from experience that this part of creating your own items was the most difficult part of that other platform. So I can tell you that from experience. I know firsthand. This is amazing. This is one of my favorite things about Edulastic is how easy it is to create your own questions. It literally will walk you through the steps. Whenever you click inside of this box, you have this text box that pops up where you can embed images, you can embed links, you can add video, anything here you could do. You could see the multiple choice options, scoring. I mean, guys, this is literally so easy. You add your standards and you click save. That is the truth. That is how easy it is to create your own questions in Edulastic. And you do that. You don't have to do it while you're in a test. You see, I'm not in a test no longer. I could just come here and I could start creating as many as I want. There are a lot. There are over 50 different question types. That document here that I shared with you, I have a lot of help articles and videos. This is a whole video on all of our different question types. So if you feel like, you might be a little overwhelmed, you need to see how things work, you can go there and look at those videos. You can see here how to author. This is just a Pendo. We are working on putting videos with each individual question type, but for now, you will be able to just see that how to author Pendo. So literally step by step, advanced options. Of course, when you have power user turned on, you will have advanced options. One thing I want to make sure I tell you too, I know that I showed you about the snap quiz, doing the PDF. Make sure that you know Scratchpad is not available on that snap quiz. That PDF Scratchpad is not available. So just make sure that you're aware of that if you're planning on using that. Deleting test happens here in the test library. You do authored by me, click, and delete. So it's very simple to delete from here. So if you have practice, you just were working on some things, you got to do that from the test library. You also have all of these different filters. So for example, I'm going to show you real quickly how to share. So if you have tests that are shared with you, which you can have colleagues that are doing that, you're going to find it here in the shared with me. Now, when you are in your test here and you want to add a colleague, say you want to do co-authoring, you all want to work on one assessment together. This is the button you need to have available to share and add co-authors. You see individuals can edit and remove. That means co-author. You just type that teacher's name in, add them, and give them the ability to do so. You're not going to be able to save it to the district or school library until it is published. So you can't share a draft. It has to be published in order for you to share that. So you can see now you can have your co-authors. One person is always the owner of the assessment. That's the one thing. It's always the owner, but everyone can have the ability to, go in there and work on it together. And that is by sharing. If you take a test and you just go in and you make the copy of it, or let's just say you're going to go in and assign, you could go right here and assign it and do nothing to it, nothing at all. I'm going to just click assign. So it's going to tell me, okay, it's been assigned. I go to live class board. I can see that it's not started yet. I did assign it. So when I go here to my assignments tab, I want to make sure that I don't have any filters. Not, because I just did that one and I wanted you to see that you don't have the ability when you just assign, you're not going to be able to go in here and find it in authored by me. You're only going to be able to find it in the library like this. When you just go in and assign, that means you're not the owner. That means you're just assigning it. So that's something I want to make sure that you're aware of as well, is that you definitely have the ability to do that. You don't have to do any work to it, but the only way you're going to be able to have any editing or, co-authoring, you need to make sure that you clone the assessment. Okay, so that was a very quick overview. I know that Stephanie did mention rubrics. So you do have the ability to create rubrics if you turn this power user on. You've got to make sure you turn power user on in order to use rubrics. So let me show you here. When you are in your settings, and you can go in and create the rubrics, and there's also, it's going to ask you, if you want to use the rubrics, and I probably didn't choose the right one here. And I believe that I have something that I could show you. Okay. So I feel like I had one that I was going to show you. I don't think it's in this account. I thought that I was going to have one that I could show you, but you can, Let me see if I can find one in here. I don't think that we're going to have any available. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here are some rubrics that have already been in here. That is, they've been created and have been shared. So you can look here. The thing is, you can go in and create it yourself, and then it's going to make you attach it. So that's the thing that you want to make sure that you are aware of when you are using rubrics. Let me try this again. Okay. Be able to assign this one. I'm trying to find it on here where you would actually click the setting of using a rubric. And I'm probably going to have to go in and create a whole question to show you how to do that, but I promise it is in here, and I may or may not have it on here. And if I don't, I'll definitely link it here for you. Okay, but I wanted to leave time for questions, because I know if you've never done this before, it could be a little overwhelming.
We do have a few questions. So the first one is, can you just load an answer key and still give a paper pencil test?
Yes.
AC College Board prohibits. Do you want to go ahead and show that?
That would just be, you're still going to have to do snap quiz. And you would do continue with blank. And this would be so you just have a blank. You would just go up and set this up just like this. So you have to set each individual question. And these are the choices for your answer key that you have. So you can see text entry, essay, all of these different points down here that you have available.
And then the next question is, why did you change the standards from LA to OH, so Ohio, I'm assuming when you went to Louisiana? Can Edulastic align items to standards?
So standards are, we do have standards that, that are in here, and questions and things that are aligned to it. I was just showing you how you can use another state assessment that's already tied to standards, and how you can change those standards. But you easily could come into the item bank or even the test library and filter by standards. So we have math. I'm going to type in the word Ohio. And then you can choose all of the standards. The thing to remember is when you are choosing standards here, and if you are going to go to Edulastic Certified, your bucket will be smaller. But when you add the public library, you'll usually get some more questions. But yes, you can. There are all aligned to standards.
And then the last question, if you guys have any more, feel free to keep asking. But the last question that we have is, did you say they can't share a draft? And then how can they work all together if they can only share a published one?
You can share a draft for co-authors. You cannot share a draft to the school or district library. It must be published in order to share to the school or district library. But yes, you share a draft with colleagues that you want to, work on together.
And then if anybody else has a question, feel free to ask it. If not, Thanks for coming on, and I will share the recording once it processes, which it usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. One more question just came in. Let me go to that tab. Do students access this through ClassLink, or is it assigned as an assignment on Google Classroom? So it is assigned through ClassLink, and they can access it through Edulastic, and they will see all their different assignments. You can also share a link on your workboards or Google Classroom or a HyperDoc, or you can click the Google Classroom button. So multiple ways. Any other questions? Let's see. Do you have a bubble test scanning solution?
We do not at this time. It was called Snap Score, but with our new platform that we did the update, we do not have that feature available. I know that I've heard it, we've discussed it in a lot of our meetings, but as of right now, we do not have that available.
Anyone else have any last questions? Feel free to come off mute too if you don't want to type your question or it's too complex. I'm going to go with a no. So during the next couple months, we have the pro version and we're going through the pilot until March. So feel free to click make formative summative assessments for your students. And if you need help, just let Scott or myself know. And we are more than happy to come in and co-author a test with you or help you assign something. Just let us know what you need. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Melissa, can you hang around for a couple minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to record this part, Scott, or no?
No, you don't have to.